Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for joining me on this episode. As you can tell, I'm sure by the picture to my left, this episode is dealing with Donald Trump still. He's out of the presidency, but still not going away. This episode is dealing with his campaign fraud scheme. Trump, desperate for money in his 2020 campaign, began duping his donors into giving more money than intended. According to New York Times reporting, facing a cash crunch and getting badly outspent by the Democrats, the campaign had begun last September to set up recurring donations by default for online donors for every week until the election. Contributors had to wade through a fine print disclaimer and manually uncheck a box to opt out of the weekly recurring payments. As the election neared, the Trump team made that disclaimer increasingly opaque. It introduced a second pre-checked box known internally as a money bomb that doubled a person's contribution. Eventually, its soliciting featured lines of text in bold and capital letters that overwhelmed the opt-out language. That was the quote from the New York Times article. And Donald Trump has made a career out of being a con man, out of separating people from their money through unscrupulous means. That is his career. He calls it being a businessman, as I'm sure you're all well aware. And Trump, he created Trump University, which used lies and sales pitches to dupe fans of his reality show, The Apprentice, out of money. You know, there was this TV show, The Apprentice. It made Donald Trump sound like he was this genius businessman, when in reality he is a goofball born into extreme wealth who was able to play a businessman on TV because of the privilege he was born into. His campaign grifted money from his most loyal supporters. The Trump campaign's fundraising platform, WinRed, at one point last year accounted for 1 to 3% of all credit card complaints filed in the U.S. Out of everyone in the United States who filed a complaint on charges on their credit card, Donald Trump's WinRed arm accounted for 1 to 3% of all claims in the U.S. last year. Some of Trump supporters canceled their credit cards to avoid the recurring payments. Some were hit with overdraft fees from their banks. Trump-affiliated henchmen who ran WinRed kept their fees even when folks requested a refund. So even if you saw these recurring payments coming out, you ended up contacting the campaign wanting a refund because you intended to make a one-time payment that turned into recurring payments, they still kept their fees. The people that worked on the campaign still kept their personal fees because everything around Donald Trump was a grift. It was all a money-making scheme for everyone around him. Both Republicans in the Georgia runoff elections, Loeffler and Perdue, used WinRed fundraising and therefore this same scam. They both had fundraising that was set up the same way through WinRed, where if you didn't uncheck the box, you made multiple contributions. Trump is still running the scam with his Save America PAC. One of the people who was scammed, Stacy Blatt, an elderly man living in hospice care, intended to donate $500 as a one-time payment to the Trump campaign. eventually had $3,000 set from his bank account, causing utility and rent payments to bounce. This is an elderly man in hospice care. Once you're in hospice care, you're reaching the end of your life. Stacy Blatt went on to pass away in February of this year, but at the end of his life, at the end of this man's life, he had $3,000 he could not afford, taken from him by Donald Trump. I mean, it is absolutely absurd to me that people would do this. Here is an example of the boxes that Trump used. And the first one has the checkbox in the upper left-hand corner checked. And it says, this is the final month until Election Day, and we need every patriot stepping up if we're going to win 4 more years for President Trump. He's revitalizing our economy, restoring law and order, and returning us to American greatness. But he's not done yet. This is your chance. Stand with President Trump and maximize your impact now. And then in the fine print at the bottom it says, make this a weekly recurring donation until 11/3. The second box also, which in the fundraising is pre-checked, says President Trump, October 9th, marks 25 days out from Election Day, and we need your support. American patriots like you inspired me to keep fighting this past week, and I'm not done yet. I'm asking you to join Operation MAGA and help me secure victory in November. Join the movement now. And then the fine print on the bottom box, it says donate an additional $100 automatically on 10/9. Just automatically donate an extra $100. And that is what Trump had been using on his campaign. It's absurd to me, and he was conning his own supporters out of money. Ron Wilson, a Trump supporter, intended to donate $200, but got bilked for roughly $2,300. Ron Wilson blames WinRed for the foul up, not Trump. He says he still supports Trump 100%. The Trump campaign issued $122 million in refunds in 2020. By comparison, the Biden campaign refunded $21 million. The Trump campaign refunded $101 million in 2020. Republicans are still using the pre-checked box for recurring payment schemes. Now they are threatening to tell Trump on those donors who do not leave the box checked. And that's the thing. The Republican Party is still using this damn scheme, and this drives me bananas that this kind of con just will continue and continue. This is the Republican committee's checkbox. It's pre-checked in the upper left-hand corner. It says, we need to know we haven't lost you to the radical left. If you uncheck this box, we will have to tell Trump you're a defector and sided with the Dems. Check this box and we can win back the House and get Trump to run in 2024. And at the bottom, the small print says, make this a monthly recurring donation. So you have all this scam, just outright scam going on with Trump. Now just overall with the Republican Party. And my question is, will the Republicans ever try to stop being the villains? Right now in American politics and American society, they are playing the part of the villain. And they seem happy to do it. They want to prevent any legislation that's going to in any way provide any any, I lost a word there, significant upgrade to the lives of Americans, average Americans. Donald Trump ran as a fall populist. He's not a populist at all. All he has ever been, is a con man. You have right now Matt Gaetz, the representative from Florida, who is under investigation for multiple things, one of them being child sex trafficking law, violating the federal child sex trafficking laws. And Matt Gaetz is fundraising off of being under investigation for child sex trafficking. I mean, let that sink in. Matt Gaetz, a representative in Congress from the state of Florida, is fundraising off the fact that he's being investigated for child sex trafficking. And he's raising money off of that. I mean, the Republican Party right now is not just coming across as villains, they're coming across as horrible, like, comic book villain characters. I mean, they're bilking their own supporters for money, scamming them into giving more money than they intended to give. In some cases, leaving elderly people penniless, having their payments bounce because they don't have any money in their account because Donald Trump sucked it all out. Now the RNC is doing the same thing, and they're sucking money out of people's bank accounts. I mean, there's no way I could have voted for a party just from the perspective of the Republican Party is depending on voter suppression to help them win elections. I couldn't support a party that depends on keeping people from voting in order to have a chance at winning. I couldn't support that. There's no way I can support tricking people into spending money. I mean, I have donated money to charities before. I have donated money to politicians before. And the thing is, if you've ever donated money to a charity or to a politician, what you realize, and in the past, it used to be the same for the Democrats and Republicans. If you donated to a Democrat or a Republican, you got the annoying constant emails asking for more donations. That's just annoying. It's just junk mail you have to delete out of your email inbox. You know, if you donate to charities and to politicians, then you get all kinds of solicitations from all kinds of charities and from whatever political party you donated to, all in your inbox. I mean, there was times in the past where I hated to open my inbox because I knew I had like 10 minutes of emails I had to delete. And that's just daunting, knowing that in order to try and find real emails of substance, I've got to delete 300 junk emails. So many of them solicitations for charity donations or solicitations for political donations. And I don't have a problem donating to a charity if there's a politician I really think has a great platform or is someone who has a mind of public service. I don't mind donating money, but I don't want to be constantly harassed to give more money once you do. I mean, I'm not rich. I only have so much money. I look at these emails and I'm like, how much money do you think I've got? You keep sending all these emails. Normal people don't have the kind of money to keep donating like that. Trump doesn't care. Apparently, the Republican Party doesn't give a damn. They will drain you dry and leave you penniless and homeless in order to get money. I mean, that is what I'm saying by they are like comic book character villain in their villainy. And I don't get it. I mean, the one guy that I read about who said he still supports Trump 100%. He got bilked for over $2,000. And When Red is the fundraising arm of the Trump campaign. He's like detaching what Trump started to raise money from the Trump himself, like it's completely separate entities. Trump's got his family members running that campaign, running this stuff. And it's all a grift. It always has been. Apparently, there are some Trump supporters that will just mentally detach Trump from the scam. Somehow. Even though Trump's whole life has been a scam. His entire life. He's never accomplished anything. He was born into enough wealth and privilege to play businessman all his life. But now he's in a state where he's deeply in debt. He's got a bunch of debts coming to come and due in the next 2 to 4 years. And he's desperately trying to find a way out of that. And he's still running this scam. He has his Save America Pact. And there are a lot of personal expenses he can spend that money on that people are still donating money to. They still have the pre-checked boxes. People are still getting bilked for lots of money. And the thing is, there are so many people who got scammed that way. The New York Times was saying they don't know how many people never filed for a refund because they didn't know if they were just screwed and they couldn't get the money back. Or, how many people did file for the refund. We know the Trump campaign, because all campaign money has to be publicly released. We know in 2020 he refunded $122 million. And how much of that was people donated and decided, oh, I can't afford that donation, I need the money back, and wanted a refund? How much of it is people that got bilked like this and wanted to get their money back because they were willing to donate the $200, $500, whatever, but they didn't intend to donate $2,000 or $3,000 or $8,000. And like I said, by comparison, Biden's campaign refunded $21 million. Still a large amount of money, but there are always people who are going to donate in a campaign and they decide, oh, I can't afford to donate that much. And sometimes they'll ask for part of the amount back or the whole amount back because they just couldn't afford to do it, and they did it. Sometimes you have, and both parties do the deceptive thing where it says, do you support this? And you click on the box and it just guides you through to a donation page. And before you know it, you're donating $5, $10, $50, whatever to a campaign. You're like, whoa, I didn't want to do that. And both parties do that. Both parties have the history of, if you ever donate, you're going to get bombarded with requests for more donations. I mean, literally just non-stop asking for more donations. And that's just annoyance. What Trump did was just a flat-out scam. And the Republican Party didn't look at that and say, well, that's unethical. They looked at that and said, he got a lot of money out of that. Let's do that ourselves. You've got Matt Gaetz, the guy being investigated for the child sex trafficking violation, who's fundraising off of that. There are Republican Party supporters who are donating money to Matt Gaetz to help him fight his child sex trafficking violation. These people who are so right-wing religious are going to help Matt Gaetz fight his child sex trafficking. And the money's not going for that. The money's going to his re-election campaign. That's where it's going. It's not helping him fight anything. Most likely Matt Gaetz is screwed, it sounds like, in the investigation. Just constantly more and more is coming out, showing what a douchebag tool this guy is. And the thing is, he was a massive supporter of Donald Trump. He also requested a preemptive pardon from Donald Trump because apparently he knew this crap was coming down the road at him. And he and Trump are very much alike, born into privilege, immense privilege, wealth, being able to do things and get away with it because of that privilege and wealth. And they're both tools, they're both complete douchebags, and they both now represent the modern Republican Party. And the party's moving that way. Not away from them, it's moving toward them. Instead of looking at things like this that Trump was doing and saying, yeah, that's a bridge too far for us, they said, oh, we'll go across that bridge. There's money there. We'll go and get the money. We'll scam our voters. We'll scam our supporters. We don't care. We have no ethics at this point. That's what the Republican Party is saying. We have zero ethics, zero morals. We will do anything for money. And for anyone trying to both sides this, please, by all means, link in the comments a link to a Democrat website that is scamming money out of people like this. I mean, as far as I can see, there is no Democrats doing that. You know, like I said, you have Democrats. If you donate to the Democrat Party or to a Democrat candidate ever, the party will constantly send you emails asking for more donations. But this stuff, you know, if you don't donate to Donald Trump, we're going to tell Donald, if you don't keep the box checked, we're going to tell Donald Trump on you. I mean, it's gone full cult. There's nothing to it now but a cult. The Republican Party is a cult. And they're using Donald Trump to continue raising money. Nobody knows if Donald Trump will ever try and get into politics again, or if he's just going to try and continue scamming money off of the 4 years he had in politics. No matter what, as long as he's alive, he will continue to try and scam money off people. Donald Trump has spent his life trying to separate people from their money, particularly people who look up to him and admire him. He's always willing to scam them because they're scammable. You have the Republican Party seemingly opposed to better education. They downplay the role of intellectuals in colleges because they like a lesser educated population because they get more supporters out of that. And you have a lot of these small town, rural areas with people who have no more than a high school education who are very heavily Republican. And I don't know if this gets to them. I don't know if they look at this and say, wait a second, we're getting conned by the people we're voting for. I mean, the one guy did. I mean, he managed to, in his head, separate Trump from Trump's campaign finance arm, WinRed. I don't know how. But that's cult. That's somebody who's in a cult. Trump is the cult leader, and the cult leader can do no wrong, even when he obviously does something extremely unethical. He's cheating. This old man dying at the end of his life, getting his life, you know, is coming to the last few months, and the last memory he has on earth is getting scammed by Donald Trump. That is just so cruel and evil to me. I don't understand how someone can live with themselves knowing they do that kind of thing. And Trump said, well, people were so enthusiastic, they just kept paying over and over and over. They didn't intend to, dude. You're an asshole con artist. That's why they kept paying over and over again, because you have this deceptive crap where they have to uncheck a box to avoid. They were trying to give you money for your campaign, and that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for you. You had to take more by tricking them with the website. And I mean, we're talking about like the guy that was on hospice care. He was old, an elderly man. You know he's going to miss stuff like the check boxes and things like that on the internet. Most of these people that were scammed, I guarantee you, are over the age of 65. There's probably a large percentage of them that are over the age of 70. Because they're the kind of people who are going to miss that. There are probably some younger people that just are a bit ignorant about a lot of things, and they miss it. But this is like comic book villain evil kind of stuff the Republican Party's going to right now. I don't get it. I don't get how you can continue supporting them, honestly. But that's the show for today. Thanks for watching. Please, if you like the video, press the like button. Please give me a subscribe if you've not subscribed already. And have a good day.